The Grand Chief of Canada's Aboriginals is saying that he wants Stephen Harper to engage in dialogue.
Spence is on a hunger strike to draw attention to living conditions on First Nations communities.
I am Janelle LeMabe, and I stand in front of everybody because I'm here to fight.
And we're back again. This is Radio Free Canada, and we're just rolling through it as we enjoy our brand new graphics and our brand new format on YouTube.
Yes, and we're enjoying our first week in January 2013.
You know, I am enjoying this week, and I also enjoy blindsiding major news with our new format early.
Well, you know, we like to keep them off balance. I mean, they do a good enough job themselves of doing that.
I know. And a big shout out to my friends, the editors at CHBC and AM 1150 News, for, collecting a paycheck by entertaining everybody.
Well, that's what the news is these days. It's an entertainment business anyway. It's all about ratings and market share.
You guys are doing such a good job entertaining us. We're going to do a good job entertaining you. I'm Darren Howard.
And I'm Robert Nisbet.
We are bringing you out-of-the-box thinking. So if you're just tuning in, remember, we've got all kinds of disclaimers at the beginning of the graphics of the video, so make sure you pay attention to those. But coming up, let's talk about Idle No More. All across the country last weekend, we saw protests from one end of the country to the other, and of course, mainstream news only covered the government side of the story.
Well, exactly. We can't rock the boat.
No, there's a status quo to maintain. We're here to upset it. You're tuned into Radio Free Canada, but let's run our favorite, my personal close friend, Mr. Rick Mercer, to start it off.
The RCMP has recently instructed its officers to aim lower with their tasers. So now more than ever, you need Manfield's taser-proof undergarments. You party with confidence knowing you're protected by 3 layers of conductive and non-conductive materials. Gone are the days when you had to compromise style to prevent electrical charges from reaching your junk. No one will even know you're wearing them. Manfield's taser-proof undergarments are chic, machine washable, and at only 23 pounds, comfortable. And right now at Manfield's, 80% off our taser-proof undershirts. Who knew? Manfield's taser-proof undergarments, because you don't know where the weekend's gonna go.
That's like my favorite guy, Rick Mercer, and we are going to be focusing on police brutality. And of course, we have Police Brutality Kelowna that's getting major hits on YouTube right now, where we talk about Blaine Gaffney and CHBC News and tasers that should be used or shouldn't.
Yeah, well, I hope the people at Idle No More are stocking up on their taser-proof underwear. Actually, that's not a very good joke.
Yeah, I know, but still, it does kind of make you laugh because you know what's coming.
Oh, yeah, police repression is never far behind.
No, and of course, we are going to cover the story that major media refuses to cover. Remember, it's not fiscal mismanagement on the native band's part, it's poverty supplied to us by the government that's happening right now.
It's the Harper agenda.
Yeah. The Harper agenda is to eliminate Native Indians in Canada, to assimilate them into a supposedly superior culture that leaves 1 in 4 Canadian children hungry and 300,000 Canadians homeless.
And how many Americans?
It's ridiculous. In the States, there's 4 empty homes for every homeless person, but let's run the cliff. Let's start it off.
Joshua Blakeney is our correspondent with us now live via Skype from Calgary. So Joshua, we have here the Grand Chief of Canada's Aboriginals saying that he wants Stephen Harper to engage in dialogue over broken treaties. Now, tell us what specifically he means by those broken treaties and whether Stephen Harper is prepared to discuss them.
Yes, that's a very interesting question. Of course, Canada didn't go along with the American Revolution in the 18th century, and that led to a schism in North America. And one of the reasons that Canada and the US became 2 separate countries was over the issue of how to treat Aboriginal peoples and how to dictate the terms of westward expansion. And Canada formulated the treaty system, which was far more benign in comparison to what we saw in the United States. Some would say Prime Minister Stephen Harper, he's kind of spitting on that legacy. that made Canada look far more rosy in the eyes of the international community comparatively, and that he's trying to kind of copy the US Republican Party's model and the Israeli Likud Party's model of promoting Eurocentric exceptionalism and not heeding to the requests of Aboriginal peoples. The treaties are respected by the Indigenous peoples. The Indigenous peoples would like to see some kind of compromise, try and view an image of Canada as being kind of a collective agreement between the colonizers and the colonized. But that's not the kind of worldview that Prime Minister Stephen Harper seems to support. So the Indigenous peoples would like a treaty to be respected, whereby the resources of Canada are shared between the Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal communities. And seemingly the Harper government wants to reject their concerns and kowtow to the interests of the all-powerful resource companies. De Beers mine, as we know until recently, for 80 years was owned by the Zionist Oppenheimer family. So we're beginning to see how the nexus of power in Canada is interwoven invariably with pro-Israel lobbyists and Zionists who are in the media right now in Canada, sullying the name of those Aboriginal peoples, trying to blame the Aboriginal leadership for the problems of the Aboriginal people in Canada, just as they blame the Palestinians for their leaders for the problems of the Palestinians. They never want to blame the white European settlers,
right,
but rather the victims. And that's the same discourse that we see with Israel-Palestine that's being deployed right now in Canada by Zionists primarily in the Canadian media. And so the leadership of the Aboriginal people are wising up to this and are hoping that the Canadian government will back down with their unwillingness to address the legitimate concerns of the Aboriginal peoples, and will come to the table and attempt to negotiate a more nuanced and just settlement with the Indigenous peoples of this country.
Thank you very much, Joshua Blakeney, our correspondent there via Skype from Calgary in Canada.
And of course, it's Press TV, a foreign news correspondent that's talking about the fact that we used to have treaties. They've never, ever stuck to the deal with their treaties, and we'll take care of you because we've destroyed your country.
And he's comparing Canada's government with Israel's and the U.S.'s Republican Party.
Yeah, well, I mean, Harper is for sure, he supported Romney. Okay, he supports the Republican Party. He's a conservative Christian. I mean, talk about a reason not to send your kids to church. You'll run into Harper-type people.
Yeah, well, don't forget, he's not intelligent enough to know that there's no difference really between the Democrats and the Republicans.
Republicans, yes. Two-party system really working out well down there. But remember, it's the fact that the Canadian government has never owed up to its treaty obligations, and now they're just trying to assimilate the people. Let's run the lamestream thing. Yes?
In Ottawa, there was an informal meeting today between politicians and Annwapakit Chief Teresa Spence. Spence is on a hunger strike to draw attention to living conditions on First Nations communities. Her health is deteriorating, but she says she won't give up until she gets face time with the Prime Minister. Shirley Engel reports.
20 days into her hunger strike and no word from the Prime Minister on her demands, Annwapakit Chief Teresa Spence emerged from her teepee across from Parliament Hill to more high-profile visitors, 17 opposition MPs and a few senators.
I invited them to come and listen what I had to say and what's been going on, and for the government and the Crown to recognize our leaders.
After a statement read by her spokesperson, Spence said she's feeling weak, tires easily, but she's determined to starve until Stephen Harper and the Governor-General agree to meet with First Nations leaders.
I am very concerned about her health. Very concerned. We are. That's why, on less than 24 hours' notice, 17 MPs from across Canada came out here.
Noticeably absent, any Conservatives. The Prime Minister's office referred us once again to the Office of Aboriginal Affairs Minister John Duncan, who told us he's been open to a meeting from the beginning, but we're interested in productive discussions and not photo ops. Upon meeting with Spence, MPs rejected questions about whether a political leader giving in to this type of protest could set a dangerous precedent.
At this point, the discussion goes beyond the appropriateness of the tactic, because a life is at stake. She said to us that the Prime Minister has a heart. Well, if he has a heart, he can't just sit and let her die.
more and more Canadians are showing their support. Across Canada, so-called Idle No More protests continue.
There is a reason why you have so many people who are hearing the call to stand up and to do what is right.
Back in Ottawa, it gives Spence strength.
We have every right to ask for a meeting, and I don't understand why these two parties are refusing even to accept or for the call for the meeting.
Another year ending with relations as bitter as ever. Shirley Engel, Global News.
So there we see it. We see the fact that not a conservative stepping up. There's no morality on the conservative side, no compassion.
Well, she said they have rights, but I don't think the Harper government believes in rights.
No, not personal rights. They refuse to celebrate the Constitution. They celebrate military endeavors, but they refuse to take a look at the fact that they've caused poverty purposefully to assimilate a nation that didn't need to be assimilated.
Well, don't forget that Leach report said the economy goes above all else. That includes human rights.
And the environment. Yeah, don't forget our robocall leader is totally mowing down the environment with this. This is a global situation. We're talking about a major situation that has to be faced. Now, so major media is ignoring this abjectly.
Oh, completely.
Okay, and the states, they're having major protests and rallies with us. Let's cover something from independent media.
Closer to it. Honey!
Bring it really close to my
mouth. I am Janelle LeMay, and I stand in front of everybody because I'm here to fight for my daughter. Here, Jillian. Go sit by your mommy. Watch out, Mumpy. If Harper needs a face, this is a face. My daughter. I'm worried about her future. If you have children, you'll stand too. We want a future for our children and our children's children. I am so scared of what this bill's going to do to them. And I'm here. If Harper needs a face, this is a face. This is the face that you can talk to and you can say what her future's going to be like. Because she's too young to know. She's going to have to grow up into this. She has no say, so this is our job. Every one of us here, all over Canada, all over the world, we have a voice. And we're going to say it. I don't know more!
And that's one of those clips that major media refuses to cover because it's somebody talking about reality.
Well, yeah, they don't want to talk about the future. I mean, we got to worry about the present, so people can make lots of money.
Yeah, and consume.
Well, this is getting some attention from the media, unlike the Occupy movement, which kind of fizzled out here in Canada.
Yeah, that's right. But it's becoming worldwide, and it's really highlighting the fact that our Canadian government is shameful.
Well, they don't listen to the people. We're not a democracy. We're a plutocracy, which is ruled by the rich.
Yeah. Actually, it's soft communism is exactly the way that one of the things that's being described about democracy in Canada. It's really communism. We have 26% of the population voting, and then they say, well, we have a majority, therefore we can install fascism. That makes a lot of sense.
But this Idle No More movement is taking root all across North America.
Yeah, and we're starting to see protests from one end of the country to the other. We're going to keep recording it, and we're going to keep reporting on it right here at Radio Free. But let's take a break, okay?
Okay.
Thanks for tuning in with Radio Free Canada. I'm Darren Howard.
And I'm Robert Nisbet.
Please get informed. Don't take our word for it, and stay on top of it. We'll be right back with more. And what are we talking about?
We'll be talking about the suppression of the news coming out of the Middle East as far as protests in our allies' countries go.
Let's take a look at the world. Radio Free Canada. Thanks for tuning in. Now, I'm thinking that.